butterflies to scorpions to, it's jungle time. It's like proper wilderness, This crazy fog, thunderstorm, heavy rain started like in a matter of minutes. And then I couldn't see where I was driving. We got stuck inside of a volcano crater in El Salvador.
You're listening to the GHT Overland podcast.
If you've done the Pan American Highway, what was your biggest logistical challenge? If you're planning a Pan American trip, what's at the top of your logistical planning list? Ours has been planning and arranging the transport from Panama to Colombia. We learned from Tim and Kelsey of Dirt Sunrise that sharing a container with another traveler is by far the way to go because you're going to save a bunch of money, paying for half the container instead of the full container. As planners, we think at minimum some resemblance of a plan before getting to Panama would squash a lot of anxiety. So, if you're anything like us or just a little curious on how this is done, you're in good company and in good shape this week as we learn the inside scoop from the man that knows, the man who launched the Overland Embassy. After several overland travelers suggested he put his knowledge, resources, and experience into a business that served the logistical side that many overland travelers are challenged with. And as my dad was famous for saying, to each their own, and, or as we would say, you do you. However, we think having a local trusted resource is invaluable. Taking your chances with shipping companies directly just makes us a little bit nervous when you're outside the US or Canada. Then there's, how do you find a shipping buddy? Seriously, I'm not sure how you do that. Do you just hang out at the local coffee shop and chat with other people that look like overland travelers? As much fun as that sounds, I'm just not sure that that's a good plan for us going into it. Alejandro was kind enough to connect with us, sharing really good tips along with some really great stories of his overland trip with his fiancée, Anna, from Panama to Alaska. And I think the first couple that we've actually talked to that did that part of the Pan American Highway going north and not going south. So that's kind of fun. It's a fun conversation with a ton of great insight and tips, as always. And now, Lisa, it is all you for a couple important notes that help us tremendously in growing the podcast.
Be sure to tag us on the social medias so we can see what kind of awesomeness you're up to. Hashtag GHT Overland. This episode is brought to you by GHT Overland. Please keep in mind we'd love your support. Keeping all the algorithm spirits happy is kind of necessary. So if you wouldn't mind, at minimum, Level 1 Love is taking a second to leave a rating on iTunes or the podcast platform you listen on. Anything from a short little I like it to whatever you're feeling. Without constant love from you, we're just sludge at the bottom of a lost cold coffee cup. Level 2 Love is found on GHToverland.com. This is where we maintain a list of recommended apps, books, and gear. Thank you to everyone who has used these links. This also helps us earn a commission, costing you nothing extra. Level 3 Love is on Patreon. This is your opportunity to support the GHT Overland podcast with monthly little thank yous that help us pay web hosting fees, podcast hosting, and all the things that keep the podcast growing and improving. This is also how you get your hands on some sweet swag. Thank you for joining us as we pursue a renewed life mission of putting the best in people and nature on display. while tackling the ugly Goliath of today by consistently placing positivity and respect for others in front of everything else.
So, Alejandro, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for taking the time this morning. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's an honor to be here with you.
So, you are in Panama City, which is exactly 4,794 miles from us. Just little facts that I look up sometimes. What can someone expect weather-wise this time of year in Panama City, like in the March time period? What's the weather like there?
Well, it's for us, it's summertime, so you can expect really nice weather. It's hot, but it's windy, so it's good. It's balanced, let's say. And we have this type of summer from December to April, May. And then after that, it's, a solid rain season, or as we call it, green season, because everything, turns back into life. And yeah, if you want to come to Panama, this is the right time.
Sweet. It's kind of the opposite of where we are. That's amazing. What's the food scene like there? If we roll in tonight, what's most likely the meal we're going to devour?
Well, the good thing is that we are very, as Panama is like the center of international commerce. We're influenced by all, you can find here from U.S. franchise to, the authentic Indian food and amazing Japanese sushi and Panamanian, gourmet food with a twist. There is a bit of everything. You can find almost any kind of food or type of food that you like in Panama City, at least.
What would you say Panama City is most known for?
Oh, well, definitely is the skyscrapers and the Panama Canal. Like that, those are the two main things that people say when they come here, especially when they're coming from the north. When they drive through Central America, when they arrive to Panama City, most of the people are really impressed of the skyline, and it's still developing, but it's a really cool city and a very different landscape of what other main cities in Central America look like.
It is hard to skip over the Panama Canal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can drive over it. There are 3 different bridges that you can drive through. And you can see, if you're lucky, you can be driving and there could be 2 ships going just underneath you. So that's a really cool experience.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It is indeed. And it's fun. Panama City is small, but big at the same time in a way.
Okay, so we have weather and food, libations. What sort of beverage scene in Panama City is most known for?
Oh, okay. Well, we are a rum country, so you will definitely find a really good rum, and of course, international type of drinks. But if you come into Panama, like, don't skip stopping at, for example, Pedro Mandinga, which is a very special bar in the Old Town. I will highly recommend you to stop there and ask for, a classic on the rocks, or a Cuba Libre, or a Mandinga Mule, or stuff like that. Rum is the drink of excellence down here.
Okay, so last question on Panama City. I'm assuming there's a ton of tourist things to do. And of course, we talked about the Panama Canal, which is a do not miss. What else would be your top recommendations to overlanders coming through to make sure that they do before they leave?
Oh, well, there is a route that I always recommend as you're entering, for example, from Costa Rica, from the north. It's a very known stop, Boquete, It's up high in the mountains, so it's a fresh kind of little town with really good restaurants and bunch of waterfalls to visit. So Boquete is like a good stop to enter the country. And then there are 3 or 4 that I can highly recommend. For example, Kiki waterfall is one of the biggest waterfalls you can see in Panama, and the road to get there is fun. I highly recommend the 4x4 if you want to go there. Besides that, if you're tired of the mountains and waterfalls, you can go straight to Cambutal. That's we call it south of nowhere. That's the end of the road in the southern peninsula in Panama.
Okay.
It's my favorite place in the country, to be honest. It has a cool small community, but there is actually the end of the road. So as soon as you finish the asphalt and you get into the dirt track, it's gonna be perfect waves, empty beaches, river crossings, small waterfalls, tide pools. It's paradise for me. So
oh, nice.
If you ask me, if you want to have a great experience in Panama, don't miss Cambutal. You can miss the rest, but Cambutal is something that you might need to see.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, and I don't have land or anything there, and I have interest. I'm just like I love that place. And after that, if you're coming along or towards Panama City, there are places like El Valle, which is nice. Again, up in the mountains with cool hikes. Playa Chame is close to the city. It's like an hour away from Panama City. And it's I think it's 4-mile stretch of beach where you can camp anywhere, and it's pretty safe, pretty windy, good waves as well. And after that, you'll be arriving in Panama City, and as a last stop, I will recommend going to Gamboa, which is a former Panama Canal zone where you can camp, and you have the pipeline trail where you can hike into the jungle and see, almost, I think it's over 200 species of birds, insects, and just a biodiversity that it's really worldwide known of Panama right there.
Okay, so you said insects. There's creepy crawlies. Which ones do you have to watch out for?
Butterflies to scorpions to, it's jungle time. It's like proper, it's proper wilderness,
That's lovely. That's awesome. Yeah, but Lisa looks a little concerned.
No, but it's what is most common on any jungle, I think, around the world is mosquitoes. So just be prepared with mosquito nets or mosquito repellent. If it's water-based repellent, will be amazing. But it's a really, really cool place to hike. You can see different monkeys, let's say, or different kinds of monkeys, sloths, toucans. It's a wonderful place.
I will be arriving in my own bubble. Okay, sorry. One last thing we need to clarify. So we hear if we don't die in Mexico, it's definitely going to be happen in Panama, and no question in Colombia. What is your take on this rumor, and how safe is doing the Pan Am in 2022?
Oh, well, that's a really good question, because I've experienced the route myself. My girlfriend and I, we drove from Panama to Alaska, and it's funny because we heard that from Costa Rica on. So in Costa Rica, they would say like, "Oh, Nicaragua is so dangerous, like be careful," and then you arrive to Nicaragua, you have a blast. It's amazing. Everyone's happy to see you. And then they say like, "Oh yeah, Nicaragua is dangerous, but then Honduras is more dangerous," So I think it's sad that exists. Those rumors. Of course, it's dangerous. For example, what I would say is it's dangerous if you're, driving late at night. If you're exposing yourself on the parking or trying to camp in a parking lot in the middle of the city. So I just recommend using common sense and feel your way through. We had amazing experiences in Central and North America. We never felt it unsafe. Of course, we are from Panama. We speak the language. That's, of course, gives us an advantage or another level of comfort. But again, we receive here at the Overland Embassy all kinds of travelers in all kinds of vehicles, and most of the stories are just great and amazing, and they have good memories about all of these countries that you're mentioning. And again, my recommendation for anyone that's planning on doing the Pan Am, just common sense, and don't drive at night, and just again, feel your way through.
So I'm guessing the smartest thing not to do is drive it at night. You've mentioned that a couple times. What do you think the smartest thing is for travelers to do in regards to safety?
Oh, wow. Well, in our own experience was not exposing ourselves in public places, for example, in the supermarket or in the city centers and stuff like that. We avoided at all cost opening our setup or being, arranging stuff inside of the car if we were very visible from the road. That's one piece of advice right there. If you want to organize your vehicle, if you want to work on your car or stuff like that, just try to hide your equipment and your whole setup as far as possible, or as hidden as possible. That will save you from thinking in the middle of the night like somebody saw me, like there's someone walking around and stuff like that. That's the only thing that concerned us, to be honest, that somebody saw us working on the car or just setting something or cooking in the back, and then we'll come back later, So just try to be invisible.
There you go. Okay, so Alejandro, now that we've got you warmed up, I have to be honest, we are super excited to chat with you today. You own and operate the Overland Embassy in Panama City. When did you launch your business?
Yes, we launched officially in 2021. Actually, even before doing our trip, we've been helping and meeting overlanders in Panama. We have also an Instagram account that's called Vibes of Panama, and through that, in the last 10 years, we've got people asking like, "Oh, where is this picture?" and travelers that we met on the road, because we explore a lot Panama as well. And we've been helping, as I said, overlanders for more than 10 years. But it became really natural when we came back from our trip, because it was really hard to go back to an office to try to make the 9 to 5 kind of life after living the way we lived. So
I bet.
It became really natural, because we welcomed friends of friends that we met on the road. There were 3 couples in 3 different weeks. And we helped the first one. My family also owns a body shop, so we have the infrastructure of a full-on warehouse where we can store vehicles indoors. We have the equipment, workers. We have a wood shop. So we owned already many aspects of this Overland Embassy business model beforehand. And so when we help these 3 couples, at the end of their visit, we will welcome inside. We will help them clean their van before shipping, or build a wall for when they ship roll on, roll off, so the people cannot access into the cabin of the van. Once one of them had somebody broke one of their windows, and so we've helped them find the replacement and put a 3M window shield. And at the end of each visit, all of them said, like, "Man, you should do this as a business. Like, this is really cool. Like, that you're helping people, that you're doing this. Where to go and who might be helpful for this or that." And so that's when the idea like officially popped into our minds of, becoming an official business and do it, with a more formal way of service.
What additional services do you provide within your overland travelers?
Well, we actually we're trying to make this Overland Embassy a one-stop shop for everyone. So the main service that we offer is the shipping logistics to Colombia or anywhere in the world. But mostly the more traffic that we get is to go to Colombia in motorcycles, in 4x4, in the small vans, big rigs. We're able to organize shipping for all these kinds of vehicles. The second layer of service could be repairs and service. So people that stop by in Panama going north or south, normally they need to do maintenance on their car, check on whatever is rattling around after driving through Central America, replacing brake pads, any kinds of service, we can do it indoors. We own also a mechanic division that is across the street. So either way you want to clean your car and vacuum clean it and pressure wash it, to changing oil, to, for example, right now we have a Land Rover Defender from Switzerland that is trying to replace and fix the roof. And we're doing that right here. So it's a huge range of service that we offer. And from the top to the bottom, it's shipping logistics, repairs, mods, body work or internal work, and also storage. If you're traveling around and you want to, for example, go back home for a few days, or if you want to stop in Panama City and then take a tour to the San Blas Islands, or if you want to simply just stop for a little bit and keep your car safe, we can also store them within our warehouse.
This is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, you can get a lot done. Just curious, do you see most people going south or going north?
Well, lately it's been 90% going south. Because of the border restrictions at the moment. We are now in March 2022, so it's been weird for South American to keep on traveling the way we normally do. So let's say, 90% of our traffic at the moment is people going south.
Okay. And what's the most unexpected mode of transportation you've seen?
Oh, wow. Well, we saw once a bicycle with a little trailer in the back. So that was extreme, if you ask me. Like, I thought I was a hardcore overlander until I met that guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we've had here all types of vehicles. Like, you'd be surprised, and it's also cool because I truly enjoy meeting people that arrive here with, for example, a tiny car like a small sedan, and then next to a big Jeep with a rooftop tent, and then you have the biggest rig, that like the MAN trucks or the big Ivecos with a full on a house on wheels. And the good thing about the Overland Embassy and about traveling in general, I think, is just to meet people that share the same spirit of adventure. And it doesn't matter if you're driving a huge car or a bicycle with a trailer. As long as you're enjoying yourself while traveling, you're more than welcome to be here.
So I'm guessing the biggest logistical hurdle to overcome is shipping from Panama to Colombia. Would you agree with that?
Yes, actually, yes. If you are really, really looking into a super great adventure and you want to walk across the Darién Gap, it is possible, but I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, I think the main issue when people arrive to Panama City is that they feel kind of blocked. And of course, they need to either ship their vehicles, being this bike, a car, or a big truck, via either container, roll on, roll off, or if you're a bike, you can try to get it on an airplane in a box or in a crate to Bogota in Colombia. Or we also had this we help people that want to have a different experience to put the bikes onto a sailboat and sail across the San Blas Island into Colombia. And again, we've had people with really interesting requests, and we also have connections with the guides that can walk you through the Darién Gap if you want to. So again, we try to be a one-stop shop for everyone, and just ask and we will try to find a solution for you.
Okay, so if I'm going to walk through the Darién Gap, how long is that going to take?
It's over between 5 and 7 days total. The guide normally brings a 5-people crew with you per person. They walk you through all the way to the Colombian border, and then on the other side there will be another 5-person crew to help you with your stuff, and they'll go all the way to Capurganá to stamp the passports, and then a speedboat to Turbo, and you're on the other side. I mean, it's more complex than what I just explained, but it is possible.
I'm pretty adventurous, but I don't know.
It's extreme.
I think you would have to bring, you'd need to bring like gallons of bug repellent.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty
definitely.
Sure.
Or
I could be wrong.
Eat like 600 kilos of carrots beforehand, and that can help.
I was thinking garlic, but if carrots will do it, then maybe that would be better. So if we, what do we need to do to make that crossing, to do the shipping? Can people do it like a DIY style, or why should they be going through the Overland Embassy?
Yeah, it is a process that you need. You can do almost everything yourself while traveling. But in this case, with the shipping, it is important to have some backup and someone to rely on, because shipping can be really complex if you miss something. And it's good because we work with different brokers in Panama and in Colombia. So what we offer is that with your dimensions and your traveler's schedule and what you would like to have, we can set up a request with all of these brokers, and they will send us the best. They will send us different offers, and we'll choose the best for you. As soon as we get that, you, as a traveler, you will only need to go to a police inspection that is done in Panama City. You get a police inspection on your VIN number, on your engine number, just to check and prove before shipping that the car isn't stolen or isn't, it doesn't have any open cases internationally. And then after that inspection, you will come to the Overland Embassy to prepare your vehicle or your equipment. Again, if you want to clean your car, if you want to move stuff on your setup, or just chill and open your chairs and grab a beer with us outside, we will get everything done for you, all the paperwork, all the logistics. If we're loading a container, for example, it's very common that we find shared containers for travelers, so it's more cost effective for everyone. You can just, after the inspection, come here next morning, we load the container, we seal it with you, and then you're free to go. You're free to go to explore Panama, to explore Colombia, to just, sit in a hotel for a few days and prepare for South America in this case. Or if you're coming the other way around, we can prepare everything before the car arrives, so it's smoother, faster, and you're ready to go when it's ready.
That's awesome. What's the smartest thing you think someone could do to prepare for shipping to Colombia?
Well, the smartest to prepare, it's the first will be trying to get your gas burned while traveling to Panama City, because it's important that the fuel gauge is under 1/4. So it is important because we've had the case that we need to take the gas off the tanks here, and it's a bit of a hassle. So please, if you're shipping, just come with a half empty tank, and it will be all easier for everyone. Other than that, it's just feel free to ask as many questions as you need, because I understand by our own experience, we needed to ship our car back home when we finished our trip to Alaska. And, it's uncertain sometimes how much time it will take, what are the extra costs, or if there are any extra costs. What's my timeline as a traveler? Like, should I be there at the port? I need an agent on the other side. All that kind of stuff. I think the smartest thing that you can do, and we invite you to, is to ask as many questions as you need. So everything is clear and smooth once you arrive. And as soon as we load the container, you're ready to, overcome the next challenge on the other side for sure.
Okay. And from the time we get to you at the Overland Embassy, which is a brilliant name, by the way.
Thank you.
How long should we expect everything to take before we and our vehicle arrive in Colombia?
Well, the process, depending on the type of shipping that you're using. For example, a container vessel takes only 1 day to get to Colombia. Oh. So between the moment you do the inspection, if we can say with a calendar, let's say on Monday you do the inspection. We load the container between Tuesday and Wednesday. The ship, almost every ship departs on every Friday or Saturday. So within a week, your car is on the ocean. That it's cruising around. In a range of 2 weeks, you can be already driving in Colombia with all your paperwork, your insurance, everything. Oh. So it can be less than 2 weeks. If you're doing a shipping container. If you're doing roll-on, roll-off type of shipping, it can take a bit longer because some vessels do a longer route. It's not that they go from Panama to Colombia. Some they go from Panama around the Gulf of Mexico and then come back down to Colombia. So that can take a solid 3 weeks.
So knowing each scenario is going to be different, but what should people expect in terms of costs so they're prepared?
Okay, normally a shipping container, a 40-foot high cube shipping container, it's around between, let's say, $1,900 to $2,400, depending on demand, depending on schedule and all that. That can be divided between 2 cars or, for example, 2 cars plus 2 bikes. We've managed to organize with the dimensions of each traveler's vehicles. We can try to organize as many vehicles per container, so it's cheaper for everyone. So, for example, the last shipping that we did was 2 vehicles and 1 bike, and at the end the bike paid $440, and each vehicle paid $800 and fraction. So it was a very successful. It is a very successful way of saving money for everyone. And if you're shipping via roll-on, roll-off, it all depends on your dimensions. We've shipped vehicles that the cost it's around $1,800. Some others is like $1,200, and we've shipped big trucks from the Overland Embassy to Colombia that the shipping for a big Unimog or a MAN truck, it's about $4,000 approximately. So it depends on volume and cubic feet, and it's a different way of calculating the cost.
Well, it sounds like going through the Overland Embassy is the way to go to be able to package everything together. That's brilliant. And I'm thinking, like, insurance is probably pretty important. What are your recommendations to overlanders on getting proper insurance?
Well, for example, in the region, it's mandatory that you buy an insurance at the border. Normally, they sell monthly insurance policies. The cost can be between $20 and $40 a month. For example, Costa Rica costs like $45, but it's for 3 months. Panama sells $25 a month policies, and it goes like that. So this will cover only if you have an accident, for example, or if you crash into someone or in traffic, that will cover that. But in general, I think it is important to have a travel insurance, health insurance, because you never know. I mean, we never expect to have any incidents or to feel ill at all. But yes, it's something that I wouldn't say, oh, insurance is not important. It is important, and more if you're traveling.
Cool. Alejandro, what's the biggest project you've completed there at the Overland Embassy?
Oh, wow, many. Yeah, I mean, we also help people sell their vehicles when they're in Panama. So I think it's not the biggest, but one of the more complex, because you have to make a power of attorney, you have to notarize everything, you have to take the documents to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it's a big package, as we call it. That's one of the more complex or more important operations that we've done here with the sales of the vehicles. On the other hand, shipping, for example, we had 2 travelers from Australia who stopped here with the BMW bikes, and their request was to ship them to Hong Kong.
Oh.
So I had to manage to find the best way possible to ship 2 motorcycles on a crate to Hong Kong via plane, of course. And I think that was one of the biggest projects, because I've never done something like that. Again, we're used to very short shipping, either from Panama back to the US or to Colombia or Chile. But yeah, that was intense, because we even manufactured the crate and the box here at the Overland Embassy. So it was a bunch of calculations and weight management and all that. So we were able to do that as well.
That is so cool. Sorry about the dog in the background.
No, no worries.
She's worried about something. I have no idea. So this is brilliant. So you guys do like a lot of things, and it sounds like with your family, you're tied into a couple different shops. So if we want to stop and get things dialed back in, if things have been rattling since Alaska, we can get that fixed. If we just need to do an oil change or a brake change, it sounds like a great place to stop and get a bunch of stuff done. And then you guys do storage as well, I think you mentioned. So if we want to park for a month or 2 and then fly back home to visit family or what have you, what does it cost to keep our rig there and keep it safe?
Yeah, the cost is, we calculate, again, on the space that you occupy. But for example, a regular vehicle, like a Jeep sized or a small van, it costs only $100 a month. We park the expedition vehicle at the very end of the warehouse, so nobody needs to walk around it or move it, or we just park it and store it. And if you have a cover, or we can provide a cover for your vehicle if you feel more comfortable with that, we offer that service as well. And again, it costs only $100, and under request we can start the engine every few days for everyone to, all the fluids be good and the engine stay good. And in the meantime also, and that's very common, that, for example, you're traveling, you need to go back home for 3 weeks for a wedding and to work on something. And you need to fix your car. So you drop it here, we store it and work on it while you're away. So when you come back, you're more than ready to go.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So what about, what are your thoughts on route planning? Are you able to help people with planning their routes, or is that something we should even be worried about?
Well, yes, I'm 100% into route planning. I think that is like my main hobby before the trip. And now that we're back home, sharing the spots that we visited through Central America, and the people we've met, and all the really amazing routes that we took, we can help you plan your route 100%. We had a Recently, we had a couple from Germany. It was their first international travel. They shipped from Germany to Panama, picked up their car, came here, and they brought, I don't know, like 20 maps from each country and each region and all the way to Alaska. And we stay with them, I think, like a solid 5 hours, just sharing, like, go here we know this guy. If you need something on Guatemala City, you can visit this shop. So the idea of the Overland Embassy is just to share as much information as possible, to be as helpful as possible, and to find solutions for everyone. If we cannot do it ourselves, we will try our best to find the right answer and the right service for what you need. And again, about route planning, just please bring a map. And if you don't have one, we print one and we help you to make a route together.
And did you guys see a slowdown during COVID?
Oh, yes, a lot. For example, COVID, we were in Mexico at the beginning of 2020. We were in Baja exploring around and all that, and we didn't know what COVID was until we crossed into the US, and 2 days after, the world stopped. So definitely most of our friends, or the people that we met on the road, most of them headed back home. Some they stayed and some they left their vehicles. So it was really, really hard. And I think right now is just beginning to start the real traffic on the Pan Am, because of the restrictions internationally. It's every time I think it's a bit easier to get across the borders with your vaccination card, or if you do the proper COVID test before each border. It's just, I think we opened our operations right on time, so we can be prepared when the real traffic comes through. We have more knowledge, we can offer more services, and we can be, more solid company for everyone that wants to stop by.
So how about you and Anna personally? You talked about your trip to Alaska. Can you give us some details on that? That sounds super interesting. When did you start that, and when did you get to the Arctic Circle?
Oh, well, we left in July 2019 on our Land Rover Defender. It was the greatest adventure we've had, I think, individually and as a couple. We left home. We left Panama with a plan of doing all the way up north in 5 months. Luckily, it took us 16 months to achieve our goal. And we slowed down a lot. Yeah, I mean, we left with our savings, and we left with the idea of making it to Alaska by November. So it was, we start in the winter, but it wouldn't be that cold. And, by November, we were in Mexico City visiting friends, eating tacos and drinking tequila every night. So awesome. We were like, let's enjoy ourselves. We don't have, no one is waiting for us. So we changed our mindset, I think, after Guatemala. And then it was a really mellow, really, we stayed really present. Like, I don't know how to explain it properly, but we live one day at a time. And it was amazing. Then we drove all the way through Mexico for 3 months in mainland Mexico. Then we shipped from Mazatlan to Baja. We did another 3 months, and then we managed to enter the U.S. before they shut down the borders. And then we had to manage through COVID, the first stages of COVID, where all the beaches were closed, all the campgrounds were closed, all the national parks were closed. We couldn't even find restrooms on gas stations, so it was really hard at the beginning. But then again, it was we feel really fortunate to be traveling with our car, because that helped us a lot to find good people that wanted to help us. I think the Land Rover community internationally was a key part in our travels, because we genuinely felt like family. Every time we found a Land Rover club, that will, welcome us there and help us fix stuff in the car and showed us around. And it was like I don't know, like a club membership. I don't know. It was really weird. I think it's the same with the VW
That's cool.
buses and Harley Davidson. I think it's kind of like the same type of community.
Yep.
And yeah, after 7 months, we needed to ask for a extension of visa for overstaying in the U.S. We managed to get to Alaska without the car, sadly, because of restrictions in Canada. But we arrived in Alaska. We met again with friends that we met in Baja that lived in Alaska, and they offered us some equipment. So we rented another vehicle and we drove around.
Oh, sweet.
We drove almost 6,000 miles in Alaska, all the way to the Arctic Circle, down to Homer, into McCarthy. We did Denali. We camped inside of Denali National Park. We were lucky enough to find a space at the Teclanica River campground. We did a lot, actually, and we feel really fortunate because it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to get there, even with the current situation in the world, in the pandemic and all that. But yeah, we even got to see the Northern Lights one night, and that was the goal. After that, we just cruised our way south through Texas. And shipped back home with a big smile, and a huge,
it's awesome.
Huge feeling inside.
To date, what's been your favorite place?
Oh wow, that's a hard one. I don't want to hurt any country's feelings, but but for example, really quick, I think the Oaxacan coast in Mexico was one of our highlights for sure. I think also Baja, the southern Baja was amazing for us. Off-road tracks, wild camping everywhere, sand dunes, perfect waves, stuff like that. So I wouldn't like to leave out, for example, Nicaragua for us was also amazing. Nicaragua is such a beautiful country, and you all should be, stopping by and invest at least 2 weeks in exploring Nicaragua, because it has it all, and it's super cheap, and people are amazing. Like, they're really, really great hosts. But yeah, and on a priority list, I think the Oaxacan coast, Baja, of course, Alaska. All of Alaska was amazing for us, and Nicaragua, top of the line.
What's the biggest challenge you've had to face on the road?
Well, there is a video about it in our Instagram account, in the Vibes of Panama account. We got stuck inside of a volcano crater in El Salvador. Yes, we got stuck inside of a volcano. It was my fault, but don't say that to Anna. We were in Alegria is called the town. So there is this volcano that you can drive into. There is a sulfur lagoon in the center, and you can camp. Actually, there is an area for camping far away from the water. But again, we broke our own rule of not driving at night. We arrived there almost at dusk. So we arrived. We were the only ones at the park. We drove in, and I wanted to camp, closer to have a better view in the morning and all that. As soon as we parked the car to walk around and find a solid place to camp, this crazy fog, thunderstorm, heavy rain started like in a matter of minutes. And then I couldn't see where I was driving, and we got completely stuck in sulfur, not only in mud, like proper sulfur, this egg smelly kind of clay. We stayed there for 16 hours. We worked as a team. That was something very special for both of us, that there were no yelling, no screaming, no it's your fault, nothing like that. It was a proper, like, what do we need to do, and let's do it now. We had to, we were soaking wet, full of sulfur. Our skin was burned because of that. And we had to wait until the next day to find people. We walked to the nearest village to find help, and long story. But I think that was definitely the biggest challenge of our trip that night.
Yes, I watched that video, and I just can't imagine being in that position. But it's also super interesting how some of the most challenging times that we go through, what that brings out of us and the experience we gain from it.
Exactly. For us was definitely a before and after in our relationship. And we carry that story with us, because if we could overcome that, we can go through anything. And after that, we've went through different other situations, but it was nothing compared to that. Like, we were in the middle of nowhere, really, really stuck with no way of bringing the car out, and we even had to sleep sideways sitting in the car because not even the tent was able to open. So it was hard. Definitely was hard.
Yeah, it's interesting. So give us some details on your rig, if you would. You have a Land Rover. Like, what year is it? Can you give us like the 30,000 foot level view?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's 2010 Land Rover Defender. It comes with the Puma engine, the 2.4. It was a former rescue vehicle from the Red Cross in Haiti. So the car itself has a long history already. It was brought from the UK to Haiti after the earthquake in 2010. It served there for over 4 years. Then it was shipped to Ecuador and then brought to Panama, where I finally could buy it at the end from an auction. After that, I started building the car slowly in the course of 4 years, like just a small lift kit, then tires, then the winch, then change the lights, then we got the tent. So it was a very slow process to get it to where it is right now. And I used it to explore Panama. I wasn't planning on traveling internationally with it at all. But then after meeting all these travelers during the course of this 7 to 10 years, I was, getting insight from them, like how much it costs for you monthly, for example, or where to visit in Mexico, where to visit here and there. By the time we decided to do our own trip, the car was already built. So I just needed to add a few things, like we added last minute the fridge, propane stove, and the solar panel, and that was it. Like the rest, it's a pretty simple setup. Rooftop tent, roof rack, a 100-watt solar panel, 47-liter fridge, and the rest, the normal 4-wheel drive equipment, all-terrain tires, a front bumper with a winch, and good vibes and good energy.
Nice, which is the most important.
Does your rig have a name?
Yes, it's it depending on how she's behaving.
That's great.
So yeah, normally it's, we call it the Vibes Mobile, because as our travel account is Vibes of Panama, so it's the Vibes Mobile. Depending on how it's behaving, if it doesn't want to work the best she can, we start like, hey mama, like you can do it, like my beautiful girl, you can make it, let's push forward. So it's weird, but I think people that are listening to this can be related. I hope so. If not, I will feel really, really weird. But the car is it has personality. It's a Land Rover, so sometimes it's I need to put some love and energy into it. But it was a great companion on the trip. As I said, the car helped us to meet amazing people as well, and it took us places that I never imagined. So I'm pretty grateful for it.
Yeah, don't feel weird at all. There's been times where we rubbed the dashboard to get our baby through. So it's all good. How often are you able to get away and do your own adventures?
Well, we try to do it as often as possible. Every couple of weeks, we try to go camping or visit friends on the beach. It's very easy to drive around in Panama because it's such a small country. Within 700 kilometers, you can make it to Costa Rica, for example. So it all depends on what we like. For example, we both surf. And so when anytime there is a slightly piece of swell, we go surfing and we go camping near the beach. And so it depends lately more on the waves than anything else, because we have a lot of work here. I forgot to mention that we also restore vehicles at our family body shop. We restore classic vehicles, classic Defender, classic Land Cruisers, sports cars, you name it. And so it's really hard to find a balance between helping overlanders and being an overlander myself, because if I get too comfortable, nobody will be here to help anyone for like a month.
So what are the top 3 things you would never go overlanding without, personally?
Okay, personally, I think I wouldn't go overlanding without a fridge, for example, without food, definitely without food. I wouldn't even put a foot on the car. But I think the most important thing that I would never leave behind, it's the desire of exploring, because you can go out camping into the same place 100 times, and yeah, you're camping, you're overlanding, but I think keeping that spirit alive and keeping that curiosity about that dirt road that turns left somewhere, that's something that I hope I will never leave behind. Let's say on the mindset, but on the equipment side, definitely never go out without food. I would highly recommend to have a fridge so you can store for a longer period your food. And for example, for us was really important to carry a lifesaver water filter jerry can. We didn't spend a single dollar in water for over a year with that piece of equipment. So yes, I will highly recommend having a water filter device, enough food, and at least a fridge to keep everything nice and tight.
Cool. On border crossings, what tips do you have? What are the recommendations on preparing for a border crossing?
The first is a very patient mindset, because border crossings can be stressful. Definitely, you're surrounded by truckers and other cars and people and buses and all that. So try to stay calm. I will say, even if you don't speak the language, you can do it yourself. You can do the border crossings without a fixer, without paying anyone, without handing your official and original paperwork to anyone. It is important that, because people can get nervous. It did happen to us in the, I think it was the border with El Salvador. We came in late, and there was a long line, and there was people, like, hey, I can do the paperwork really quick, and I'll just charge you $20 and stuff like that. But normally at the end you get ripped off if you get to hand your paper to somebody else. So other than that, I will recommend bring your copies, like have copies of your passport, copies of your title, copies of copies of everything, and just be ready to stay there for a couple of hours. It's really easy to do it. It's really fast if you have the right paperwork. and yeah, just be calm, be chill. If you're traveling with a companion, I will recommend to one stays with the car and the other one does the paperwork. If you're traveling alone, just secure your vehicle when you're doing the paperwork inside of the border buildings, and that's it. It is simpler than it sounds, and it's cheaper, faster, and safer than what it might feel before doing it.
Any specific border experiences that stand out that we could learn from?
Yes. For example, exiting Costa Rica into Nicaragua, going north, we had an experience with one of the border officials, because you are supposed to take everything out of the car to go through the customs building for them to scan and all that. And we normally, on every border, we will bring 2 backpacks. Like Anna will grab the backpack with the cooking gear and a backpack with the clothes. I will do the same with my computer and cameras and all that. We will take them with us, and we do the normal procedure of aduanas, of customs, like entering the country, stamping the passport, scanning your luggage, and ready to go. But in this particular border and with this particular officer, he wanted us to bring everything out of the car, like everything, the fridge, the roof, like everything. He just wanted. Oh,
geez.
Yeah. He wanted us to almost, take the car apart for him to check, and that's very normal when officers, and it's really hard and sad to say, when officers are somewhat corrupt, or they want money, or they want you to do something for them. So what I would recommend on those kind of situation, and as we did, is just stay patient, stay firm. It's like, I cannot take the rooftop tent, I cannot take the fridge off, I cannot take the equipment is attached to the vehicle. And we explain, even though we could take many things out, that's a risk, right? You don't want to take all your stuff on the floor in the middle of a border crossing, because there's people around, and as I said, truckers everywhere. So at the end, we had to spend, I think, a solid extra hour just sitting and waiting for him to change his mind. And at the end, he did. We didn't have to pay anyone. He accepted the luggage that we presented, and we were ready to go. So again, piece of advice right there is just stay firm on what you want to do, because no one wants to bring all their equipment out. And second, don't fall in this weird game of corruption and bribing people. That's first, it's not correct for anyone, and second, it doesn't help anyone. It just makes it worse for the next traveler to come through. So stay close to your equipment. Big smile. If you're traveling with your wife, with your girlfriend, or with any companion, send the happiest one to talk to the officers, and big smile every time. That will get you through.
Solid, good advice. Love it. Alejandro, what inspires you each day?
Oh man, that's a really, really, really good question. I think I get inspired by people enjoying what they're doing, not only traveling. I get inspired by, for example, my dad, who has been doing the same business for over 40 years, and he does it with love and passion. I get inspired by, of course, the travelers that come through, and they with different stories. There's people who saved for 10 years to do a trip, and they're running out of money, and you're just trying to get across the Darién Gap to continue and finish their dream. Or the people that are they're traveling with kids. That's really inspiring. I've had families here with one kid, 2 kids, with 2 kids and 1 dog. Like, that's a lot of work, and that's definitely inspiring. But in general, man, I think every time I meet someone that's truly passionate about what they're doing in life, that's a true and huge inspiration for me, because even though we have managed to find the Overland Embassy a source of income, a source of helping people, a place to feel like you're traveling, even if you're parked outside of the shop or inside. It's really, really nice for me, and I think for everyone, when you meet somebody that's like, I enjoyed this and I love this, and even people that normally ask people when I meet them, like, what makes you happy? And I love listening to those answers, because you never expect something specific, and every time I hear that response, I get inspired as well. So in general, man, I try to stay positive. I try to stay ahead of time, and stay present, as I say.
Love it.
What is your next big overland dream trip?
Oh, well, that will be Ushuaia, definitely. We want to complete the continent. It's part of our life plan before getting into kids or pets, maybe. But yeah, we're planning on heading out in late 2023. That would be awesome for us if we can make it happen. And complete, do the Americas, and then look forward on maybe shipping from Uruguay to South Africa, or shipping to Europe, depending on what's the situation next year. But yeah, we definitely feel like driving around the world. I think there is so much to see that I think and I hope we will never stop. And we have to build a structure that can, of course, help us make it happen, because we don't have unlimited source of income, or we're not rich, definitely. We're rich in different ways, but you need to plan ahead, and you need to budget an around the world trip like that. So it will be by stages, and the next step will be South America.
Love it. That's awesome. Anything that we've missed?
Not sure. I think we talked about the shipping logistics, vehicle repairs, general service, sales service, if they need to sell the equipment or sell the vehicles. What else? The storage, restorations as well. We do also, I think I didn't mention, and we don't promote that part publicly, but we ship classic vehicles to the US. We work with different shops, like, for example, the Land Cruiser shop or Fit Garage up in Oregon, some other smaller companies in the East Coast. And we find, for example, diesel Land Cruisers down here. We restore them and ship them so they can manage, all the import process and do all other modifications up there. So that's something that it's good to know as well.
Okay, cool. So let's wrap it up with some fun facts about you. What is your favorite type of music, and how good is your singing?
Oh, wow. Well, my favorite type of music will be, a music that is like salsa music or like happy music, stuff to dance. And about singing, well, I prefer you to ask Anna about that, because I feel I'm really good at it. But I also know that every time I sing, Anna makes this weird look, so maybe I'm not as good as I think.
That's awesome. Tell us about your favorite drink in the morning to get you going.
Very, very cold glass of water. That's a really good way to get the engine going.
Smart.
And yeah, I think, glass of water every morning.
And a favorite beverage at night to wind down after a long day?
After a long day, I try to drink more water. But if it's a tough day, maybe an IPA beer, or if we are with the either an IPA or any kind of beer, actually, will do the job. Yeah.
What's your best advice to aspiring overlanders and adventure enthusiasts that are listening right now?
Well, guys, it's easier than you think. It's cheaper than you think. It's more rewarding that you think. My piece of advice will be just go. We got that piece of advice from experienced travelers in the past. Just go, and of course, take your time. Like, don't rush through it. If you're able to, of course, but enjoy it. It's safer, it's cheaper, it's more rewarding, and you're gonna have a blast for sure.
And how can people learn more about you and get connected on social media?
Well, we have on Instagram we have Vibes of Panama with an underscore at the end. Overland Embassy as well. You can see people that have stopped by, works that we've been doing, the restoration that we're working on, and shipping logistics in general. We also have the website that is overlandembassy.com. And we're trying to get into this new millennial thing of TikTok. So we have TikTok as well for Overland Embassy. I hope we can make it grow faster than what we're doing it right now. But you'll see there other types of videos of the setups that the cars are that we receive here, or just general information about shipping.
And any more information you'd like to give or useful resources our listeners should check out?
Of course, iOverlander is helpful, but pick 50% of what you read there. But in general, I think Expedition Portal is a good place to find information about rigs for sale, overlanding stories, overlanding books, and different articles about overlanding by experienced travelers. I think Expedition Portal is a good place to visit. Overland Journal is also good to find information. We are working on a blog on the Overland Embassy website. So I think these three will be really good source of information for anyone trying to plan the Pan American traveler.
It's awesome. Alejandro, thank you. Safe travels and adventures to you. A remote cheers as we look forward to our overlanding paths crossing, hopefully, sometime in the future. Be sure and give our best to Anna. Sorry we missed her today. And again, we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. Some amazing stories, some really wonderful insight. And it sounds like what you have going on at the Overland Embassy is super, super valuable to any overlander going through Panama.
Yes, guys, it's really an honor to have this opportunity to chat about our business, to chat about our stories. I think you do also a great job with this amazing podcast, and I'll be more than happy to have you guys here in the future. Please, if you're a traveler and you're coming through Panama, I will love to have you guys here. Ask for the welcome drink when you arrive, and we'll get you going. We find solutions for travelers.
Okay, welcome drink it is.
We're there.
And again, thank you.
To guys, thank you for the opportunity again, and you're doing a great job. Thank you.